Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Today we are going to be talking about the controversial relationship between women's aging and their fertility and dating desirability. But before we get into all of that good stuff, I want to remind you that if you enjoy the show, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. It helps us out a ton. YouTube now deranks our content, so if we want our channel and our show to continue to grow, we're relying on you guys, our audience, to share our videos, places like Facebook, Reddit, Twitter, or heck, even email them to people. That goes a heck of a long way for us, and if you wanted to go even further to support the show, you can of course always head on over to blazetv.com/Lauren and subscribe using the code Lauren to save money on your annual subscription. So over the past few weeks or even months, I've noticed that several male commentators that I follow have made videos or posts touching upon female aging and how it affects desirability and fertility. But first, I have a quick message from our sponsors at NetSuite. If you own a business, whether it's large or small, the truth is if you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. But the problem that so many growing businesses have nowadays that keeps them from knowing their numbers is their hodgepodge of business systems. And that's where NetSuite by Oracle comes in. It's a business management software that handles every aspect of your business in an easy-to-use cloud platform, giving you the visibility and control you need to grow. With NetSuite, you save time, money, and unneeded headaches. You can manage your sales, finance, accounting, HR, and orders instantly, right from your desktop or phone. That's why NetSuite is the world's #1 cloud business system. And right now, NetSuite is offering you valuable insights with a free guide called 7 Key Strategies to Grow Your Profits over at netsuite.com/Lauren. That's netsuite.com/Lauren. You can visit now to download your free guide, 7 Key Strategies to Grow Your Profits. Again, that's netsuite.com/Lauren. Thousands of the best-known brands and fastest-growing companies use NetSuite to manage their businesses, and now so can you. A common theme they've touched on is the idea that as women get older, their fertility and, in general, their ability to attract men starts to wane.
Basically, ladies, what I'm saying in this video is that don't waste your 20s. Your 20s are an investment for you because that is when you are at your most powerful. You, as a woman, are socially powerful at that point. You have a lot of influence. If you're an attractive woman, you have unbelievable amounts of influence if you want it. Men don't tend to have very much influence when they're young. That tends to grow with age. With women, it seems to dissipate. So your 20s are an investment into a future that you're meant to be planning for.
There is always going to be a disparity between the biological sexes. Men can go on dating apps, sleep around, do whatever they want with no strings attached, no restrictions, and no concern. But women who do that need to be aware that there's a certain amount of time before you're not going to be able to have kids anymore. Think about this woman. I'll end this here because I can't go too long. Candace Bushnell is 60. She, in all likelihood, can't have kids anymore. A 60-year-old man can.
And although the same could be said about men to a certain extent, the effects are much less pronounced and much more delayed. Yeah, that's not really the most fun message to hear if you're a woman of really any age, but this issue was also recently touched upon by Stefan Molyneux on Twitter. He wrote, quote, "Dating reality 101 people. Men want female fertility, women want male resources. For women, fertility decreases, for men, resources increase. Women are born rich and quickly go broke, men are the opposite. Men age like wine, women age like milk. Wake up and made up." As you can probably imagine, a lot of people, especially women, did not take kindly to that tweet. Most of the replies were just straight up insults about Stefan's looks or how he's aged, which, aside from being total ad hominem attacks, don't really rebut anything he said in his tweet. Stefan never said that men look better as they age. He correctly stated that women find men with a lot of resources attractive, and that as men get older, they tend to accumulate more resources, therefore making them more attractive to women. Regardless of whether people actually understood what Stefan was saying, though, a lot of people believed his tweet to be sexist. Adam replied, "This is a pretty archaic view of relationships, lol. My wife has a lot more value to me than just her fertility." And Rob said, quote, "Thanks for the hot take from 1960. Today's reality is that both men and women have an upward trajectory as far as resources go. Financial security doesn't need to be obtained by finding a partner 10 years older. Can't say I blame you for being self-serving." While I definitely agree that Stefan could have worded his tweet more gently, nobody really wants to be compared to milk, okay? I mean, especially in regard to aging, but really in no context is that a good thing. But overall, his message, whether we ladies like to hear it or not, is an accurate one. Men of any age tend to be most physically attracted to young women, let's say in their 20s, because that's when females are fertile. Women, on the other hand, tend to be interested in older men, up to a point, because in general, older men have more resources. And that's not me saying what I think happens or what I believe should happen. That is objectively what happens. As Faith Hsu writes, Christian Rudder, president and co-founder of a little site called OkCupid, wrote a story detailing the ages men and women find each other most attractive. For women, data seems to indicate that women in their early 20s prefer men just a year or two older than their own age. This holds true for women in their 30s and 40s too, only leveling down a bit at women in their 50s who find 46-year-olds most attractive. Still though, all in all, a somewhat normal set of data. Now, allow us to present the other side of the equation, the age men find women most attractive. According to Rudder's data, which is gathered from his site's millions of users, men in their 20s prefer women in their early 20s. Okay, not that weird. As it turns out, men in their 30s find women who are age 20 the most attractive. Not early 20s, straight up age 20. As in the first year after you stop being a teenager. It gets even better. Men in their 40s up to age 50 all prefer women in their early 20s too. And it's not just OkCupid data that backs up these findings. As the New York Times' Maya Salam writes, in a study about online dating published in the journal Science Advances, quote, researchers studied the desirability of male and female users based on how many messages nearly 200,000 users, all of whom were seeking opposite-sex partners, got over 1 month on a popular free online dating service, and if those sending the messages were desirable based on the same criteria. The researchers determined that while men's sexual desirability peaks at age 50, women's starts high at 18 and falls from there. Those kinds of findings have been replicated in countless other studies, but I know, that type of data can be a black pill to hear, especially if you're a lady. And I know some people will be inclined to say, don't be ridiculous, women are still hot as they get older. Look at Jennifer Lopez. She's still got it. Look, we can all agree that Jennifer Lopez still looks impeccable, and I am of course not saying that older women cannot look attractive, because that's obviously not true. All I'm saying is that the data proves in the real world, when men of all ages are looking for partners, they tend to go for women who are young, in their 20s, but the same cannot be said of women who are looking for men. So why is there this difference in the dating market value of women versus men when it comes to aging? Well, as Salam writes, quote, Michelle Drouin, a developmental psychologist who focuses on technology and relationships, was not surprised by the new study, in part because they align with evolutionary theories of mating in which youth suggests fertility, she said. Dr. Drouin pointed out, though, that there are also theories that suggest that men are just less interested in earning potential or power and more interested in physical attractiveness. You see, men and women, historically, biologically, traditionally tend to look for different qualities in each other. As Drouin referenced, men in general tend to look for partners who can give them babies, and female fertility does have a shelf life. And the preference for women in their 20s specifically does kind of make sense because female fertility starts going downhill a lot earlier than I think most people realize. As the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, definitely not just some random anti-woman group, reports, quote, a woman's peak reproductive years are between the late teens and late 20s. By age 30 years, fertility starts to decline. This decline becomes more rapid once you reach your mid-30s. By age 45 years, fertility has declined so much that getting pregnant naturally is unlikely for most women. Obviously, not every single guy wants to have children or is going to be interested in a specific woman in order to have children with her, but still, that biological preference for someone fertile, i.e. young, is still likely to be there. So does this mean that all men are just sexist, cradle-robbing perverts? Well, before we pass too much judgment on them, let's take a look at what women find attractive. As it turns out, women like rich guys. Shocking, I know, groundbreaking stuff right here on this show. According to NewsHub, quote, a study recently published in the journal Evolution and Human Behavior asked over 300 men and women to rate pictures of the opposite sex based on their attractiveness. Salary information was then added to the images and participants were asked to re-rank them. The researchers concluded that women are significantly more sensitive to salary information when considering a partner compared to men. A man can move himself 2 points higher on the attractiveness scale we used if his salary increases by a factor of 10, study author John Speakman told The Times. For a female to achieve the same 2-point effect, her salary would need to increase by 10,000 times. Historically, while men were out there looking for someone to have their babies, women were out there looking for someone to take care of them and their babies. Part of this being taken care of would historically, of course, involve just being able to physically protect a family, which is why women, I think, do tend to like muscular physiques. To a point, of course, because, too much muscle, too vascular, I don't, that's not for me. But the other part of taking care of a family does involve providing resources, and this is still very much the case in today's society. So while men in the back of their lizard brains might look at a 20-year-old woman and subconsciously think, yeah, you look fertile. Women, conversely, might look at an older man, say in his 30s, 40s, or even 50s, depending, and kind of passively note, you're probably not working an entry-level job anymore. Interesting. Now, clearly, when it comes to dating, there's more than just, hey, fertility, resources, but still, these motivating factors do seem to explain a lot of the general trends that we see. So why am I making an entire video about this? Why are people like Sargon and Tim Pool and Stefan Molyneux all talking about this? Is it just to make older women feel bad about themselves? Absolutely not. In our society, I feel like a lot of women, or at least too many women, are under the impression that they have all the time in the world to find a husband and have babies. But that's just not true. I do not believe that if you're 18 and not yet married and pregnant, then you've just missed your chance. But still, the data does say that the longer you wait to settle down with someone, the harder it will be to attract a mate. And I know that that's not fun to hear, believe me, but the last thing that I would want for any woman would be to be in her late 30s or 40s and to be alone because she didn't realize how the dating game works. I know a lot of women in their 20s and 30s might think, oh, I have plenty of time to find a husband. The guys my age aren't ready to settle down either. But the thing is, when those men are ready to settle down, by and large, they're not going to be going after women the same age as them. They're going to be going after younger women. It's not going to be every guy that does that, and it's not going to be every situation, but just as a general rule, that is what happens. And what would make the frustration that a woman of a certain age may have toward being unable to find a partner even more just gut-wrenchingly awful is the knowledge that the longer she waits to get married, the harder pregnancy may become. Don't get me wrong. Women over 35, especially with the help of modern medicine, can and do have healthy, happy babies. And even when that's not a possibility, adoption is still always a wonderful option. However, if you really do want biological children and you want to, as much as possible, avoid any difficulties with pregnancy, then your biological clock should absolutely be something that you keep in mind. And I know some of you watching this, hearing all of this talk about fertility and youthful looks might still believe that I think older women are just trash. Ladies, losing our fertility and our raw animal magnetism as we get older does not invalidate us as people. Our children, our grandchildren, and our husbands, who we've built our lives with, are still gonna love and cherish us once we get all wrinkly. I know for a lot of women, the part of life where you're off the market, you're a wife and a mom, and maybe starting to look a bit more mature, that can seem like the end of the world. Your life is over. I mean, if I'm not going to be hot forever, then I need to get out there while I still can and have fun. I don't mean to be a buzzkill, but as Sargon so eloquently explained, if you're a woman and you want a family, those years while you're young and beautiful, those need to be an investment into your future. They shouldn't be all about getting out there, having fun, going wild, woohoo! They should be about trying to settle down and create the foundations of what will become your family. And I know it seems unfair because men get to put off all of this responsibility for longer, but I mean, our bodies make people. Okay, that's pretty metal. And if I can just share some personal feelings here, I'm 25, and as Liam can attest to, I am very aware that at my age, baby making needs to be on the schedule. I am at an age where I'm starting to get a couple of gray hairs, and I see skincare with anti-aging benefits, and I think, well, yeah, couldn't hurt. And I know some women can get really sensitive about aging, but if we've spent our younger years really investing in family relationships, then getting older doesn't need to be a scary thing. I'm excited to be a mother and a grandmother and gradually seeing my boobs start to sag 1 inch, 2 inches, or heck, maybe even 3, that is a trade-off I am more than happy to make. So if you're a woman watching this who wants to get married and have kids, or heck, even if you don't, my only request would be that you please be mindful of the realities that do exist in the dating world. But I think that's pretty much all I have to say about the issue, and as always, I would love to know what you guys think. What do you think about the way that men view age in women and women view resources in men? And are you working towards settling down and having a family, or have you done so already? Let me know, but that's it for now. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.